uncharted island.
Let me list all the ways you're gonna die. Rain, heat, disease-carrying flies, and we haven't started on the things that want to eat you alive.
We'll double that.
Plus a bonus if we make it back. If?
In this dirty old part of the city where the sun refused to shine.
Is that a monkey?
He's God on the island.
We don't belong here.
But the devils live below us. I call them skull crawlers. Why? Because it sounds neat.
Okay.
Look, I just made that name up. I'm trying to scare you.
I'm fine calling them that. Are you cool with it?
Yeah, that seems like a
I
good,
like the name.
Guys, thanks for being here. Congratulations on making a kick-ass monster movie. I haven't seen one in forever. You guys did it.
You can say ass at AOL.
We can say whatever we want.
Good to know.
Was that the word that you were really hoping to say when you got out
I've been holding back all day. No,
Walking out, ass.
I was like, don't say ass, don't say ass.
Let's talk about how this started, because I'd imagine, you know, lots of monster movies, comic book movies come around, but it's hard to actually land on a good one that actually has themes and a story that it wants to tell. So what was it like when you first got this script?
It was a chance to be in an adventure film. I had never been... Jordan Vogt-Roberts said to me, let's make a film like the ones that we grew up loving as a child. One of them features the gentleman at the end, called Jurassic Park. You know, I saw that when I was 10, and this was about a group of explorers going to an island, and I'd never played a character like that. The thing they find happens to be an icon of motion pictures, so it was a very quick yes.
Sam, you've been in, you know, a few adventure movies at this point, but you've definitely never played, I think, a character like this in an adventure movie. The fact that he's so tied to the end of Vietnam.
Sort of, kind of. But, I mean, I did a Vietnam segment of Rules of Engagement. Right. It was kind of batshit crazy a little bit. But, you know, opportunity to be in a King Kong movie, I didn't even think about Vietnam. When they said, King Kong, we want you, I was like, awesome. Then I found out I was the second choice, and I still didn't care. I was like, I'll do it anyway. Yeah.
How was Samuel L. Jackson the second choice for anything? That's...
Well, they had an Academy Award winner at first, and he didn't want to be away from home, away from his kids that long, because we were gone forever in Hawaii, Australia, and Vietnam. So I was like, my family doesn't care, so I'll go.
Brie, how long were you guys away for? What was the shoot like?
We were away for 6 months? 5 months?
Yeah, 5 or 6, yeah.
5 or 6 months?
Yeah, 5.5, yeah.
Yeah, like a month and a half, 2 months in each place.
And now the film takes place in 73, but I would say that your character has the most 1973 hairstyle of all the other characters.
I'm the only one that really committed to the time period. Everyone else was like, I'm just gonna be cool. And I was like...
You feel like you showed up to a costume party, the only one dressed up most
I
days?
actually have showed up to a costume party. and been the only one in a costume. This I felt fine with.
Is that true? Did that really happen to you at one point? Mm-hmm. Can I ask what your costume was?
You can. I had become friends with Claire of Grimes, and she was like, I'm having a birthday party. It's a costume party. And I showed up as Daisy from Nintendo, Princess Daisy.
So great.
And I was the only one. My best friend was also dressed as, I think her name's Princess Bubblegum from Adventure Time. She had like a full pink wig. We were the only ones. I was like, where did you come from? I was like, Claire, why did you tell anybody else? I don't know.
Did she just mistakenly not tell anybody
She
else?
was sort of dressed up. I think she just forgot to tell everybody else. Or she just thought it would be funny that I was going to obviously show up as Princess Daisy because she knew I'd commit to a costume.
You were new friends. She was testing the limits of your friendship.
Yeah. And that was it. A friendship was born.
Tom, talk to me about your character in the film. He's a mercenary.
Yeah, he starts out that way. The name is Captain James Conrad, and he's a former British SAS tracker, a specialist in reconnaissance and the recovery of lost soldiers. And he joins the expedition because to lead troops on the ground in the jungle. But he starts off in quite a cynical place, and what he sees on the island awakens in him a new humility and a sense of wonder. And I loved that journey. I thought that was that he's humbled again by the power of nature.
And Sam, your character, no, did not buy that.
Fighting for his life.
Exactly. Sam, your character is he doesn't see eye to eye with Kong, right? Is it fair to say that without giving anything away?
Eye to eye with Kong, we're ending a war that I don't think we should be ending. His guys are going home. They all have futures. They got families. They got jobs they're going to. I'm pretty much going to end up on some base teaching guys to fly helicopters or riding a desk until the end of my career. And this is supposed to be some mundane last shot to be with my guys, take these scientists to this island. And we get there, and this big ape starts killing my guys. So I'm now caught up in a new war, a war that I'm determined not to lose. And I got to save the guys that I still have. So it's life or death for me.
I love that the film, though, even though the ape starts killing his guys and it becomes a war between the two of them, him and his guys were the first ones to bomb the ape, and it actually does become a fun...
Scientists said we want to drop some seismic bombs to test something on the ground. They weren't, they had little propellers on the back of them. You saw them in the trailer? They're supposed to be, they're like little mundane testing things. It's like not trying to blow up anything down there, just to see how deep the ground was or whatever. And Khan mistakes that for an attack. I guess basically it is in some way, but, we weren't trying to kill anything. We were just helping them with their little test.
You're still deep in this. You're still holding on to this character, clearly, here.
No, I'm just telling you how it plays out, He misunderstood.
Well,
Which is
John
usually
C.
the
Reilly...
case in all King Kong movies. King Kong is generally minding his business until we show up and we start prodding him. And the next thing you know, this monster is after us. It's like, leave him alone. He'll leave you alone, So he becomes the victim, and therefore the audience always ends up siding with Kong. Because, he's not a predatory monster. He's a defensive kind of animal. The predatory things are there, and eventually they come to the conclusion that he's the only thing standing between us and those predators. But by that time, it's kind of too late for me.
Brie, you were going to say something?
No.
I think you'll just have to watch the movie and see what really happens.
And you guys have...
Taking sides? You're not down with a brother?
You know I'm down with the brother.
All right, then.
Please.
You guys have a pretty incredible supporting cast in this film as well. You have John C. Reilly. You've got one of my favorites, Shea Wiggum, who's just like one of the funniest actors around.
Shay's awesome.
Yeah. What was it like working with John C. Reilly, though? He's doing his John C. Reilly thing in this movie. I loved it.
Yeah.
It's like John C. Reilly trapped on an island for a really long time. He really went there.
Which is the best version of John C. Reilly.
He's a really, really good
think of.
version of him.
Yeah.
That's true. So much of what ended up in the movie, I think, is improvised,
Yeah.
too. He's just so good at really falling into these characters and becoming them. And it's so fun to work with because you're just like his character, you don't really know where he's at and what's going to happen next.
Is that hard to do in a movie like this? Improvise at all and play around on set when you're sort of moving from beat to beat to advance the plot as quickly as possible?
Yeah.
Plot?
I mean, generally, yes. I don't know of other films of this size where improv is a large part of what's happening.
Yeah.
But when you got John C. Reilly there, you can't not improvise a little
Well,
bit.
because at some point his character, on one level, we're depending on him because he knows the island better than we do. And in amongst all of that, he just was incredibly inventive, which then has an impact on what we're doing. So in the scenes that aren't action sequences, it was easier. But I think some of the things that he made up are some of the best things in the film.
Brie, talk about your character. She's an anti-war photographer who kind of tags along with this mercenary.
She doesn't tag along, man. She's there for a mission. She's investigating.
The check.
She's bold. She's brave. She's risking her life.
A paycheck.
What? I auditioned for this, dude.
I know, but paycheck. Paycheck from the scientific
Get
company.
out of here.
They hired
Oh,
you.
you're talking about my
Brie
character,
Larson
not me.
They hired
I got
you.
so defensive. How dare you? I
hired you.
auditioned like 3 times for this.
No, those
Give me a
scientist
break.
people hired you.
Okay,
Come on.
so my character,
Yeah, has a job.
my character as a job.
There you go.
She's also in her own journey, in it for the photo. She thinks that she's going to break new ground. She's going to get a cover over whatever it is that she discovers and what she imagines is some sort of government cover-up.
See, she just added that to that whole thing because she was so busy collecting awards that whole time. She was thinking, Pulitzer, 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 Pulitzer. Ooh, Dragonfly, Pulitzer.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah, she was just trying to collect another piece of hardware.
It's weird because I'm still confused as to whether or not we're talking about the character or
Me
Brie.
too.
Who was
Me
auditioning
too.
and
Me
collecting
too.
awards at the
Same
time that this
thing.
movie
She
was in
invested
pre-production.
Like that. She was invested like that, you know.
It's tough to know
She's coming to
sometimes
work in
what's
character.
real and what's not.
Coming to work in character. That's her.
Now, what I love about your character in this film and what they did was they didn't go the sort of classic route that the King Kong character usually goes with the women in distress. It's a much different storyline, even when it gets to the point when it has to be kind of referential to those moments. Was that surprising to you? What were you expecting when you got a script and it was like, oh, you're going to be the female lead in a King Kong movie?
Well, they had sort of told me before that they were looking for something different. I mean, I'm not really like the face of damsel in distress. I'm kind of stronger than that, I hope. So when they were interested in creating a character that was much more dynamic than that, that's part of what interested me. I mean, I love independent film because I felt like that's where the messages were. That's where the stories were that were exciting on the surface and had something underneath. But to go beyond that and do something that was big and also had a subtext of meaning and speaks to what's going on in our life right now and makes us question ourselves and the world around us. To do that in like an IMAX movie that's like really beautiful and you get to shoot in Hawaii, Australia, Vietnam. It's like such an incredible collection of things.
Were you nervous at all going from essentially an independent film where you won an Oscar for it? Congratulations!
Oh, thank you.
And going to, I can't believe. Come on, guys.
No, it's okay. It's last year. There's a whole other year that's happened since then.
But you basically went from that to shooting this, correct?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I was flying kind of every other weekend to do stuff for Room from all those places, and then the Oscars, I flew from Vietnam to the Oscars, and then after the Oscars, flew back to Vietnam at like 6 a.m.
Were you hesitant at all going from a movie that had such prestige to what could be perceived as a sort of just like a blockbuster monster film, which I think has a lot of prestige in it now that I've seen it? I see you. I see what you're doing with that face.
I mean, I didn't really.
I got you. I am digging myself out of this ditch that I dug in front of you.
Hey, let me see. Go ahead, dig out. Let me hear it.
I thought I did.
Let me hear you dig out.
I did.
You know,
I said a film that, upon
now
viewing,
does.
has a lot
Much
of
prestige.
has a lot of prestige.
83% of Rotten Tomatoes were amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow, got to clap for that.
Thank you.
Someone
Thank
loves
you,
Rotten
Tom.
Tomatoes.
There's a weird little thing that happens at a certain point in your career. You can be as prestigious and all that other stuff that people, like and glorify you for. But at a certain point, you can go in a room and people go, that last movie she did put asses in those seats. We might want to hire her. People like her. Lots of eyes on her. Hey, come on, because that's the deal.
Okay, fine, but
I
there was
remember-
no plan. I don't have a plan in my life.
It doesn't have to be a plan. Shit happens, and
you
it's
hold on
like
to your butt.
when I was doing Die Hard, Pulp Fiction came out. So Bruce and I flew from here to Cannes to watch Pulp Fiction. I was like, damn, this movie's fucking good. Look at it. And Bruce was. yeah, it's good, but this movie is going to make you a star. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, Die Hard's going to be the highest grossing movie in the world next year. And it was. And we did this thing we're doing now. We did this tour. And all of a sudden, people in all kinds of countries knew who I was that didn't know who I was before.
Okay, you're scaring me a little bit. I'm trying to stay in my bubble. I don't want to be freaked out.
Fuck that, your bubbles burst.
Can I
You're a
go?
blockbuster now.
Well,
That's
you
what
guys all
happens.
saw it
So,
here. It was on film.
I mean, that's the thing that happens. I mean, you do a film that is huge, and people in little places that didn't see room or don't know anything about all the other stuff that you've done are going to know that you did this, and you become that King Kong woman, blah, 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 and you become a big movie face. You're somebody who can put asses in seats.
Can I challenge that, though, for a second? Because when
No. I know exactly
Never
what I'm
prefaced
talking
it
about.
with Samuel. But wait, when it comes to Die Hard and Pulp Fiction, I feel like Pulp Fiction reverberated a lot longer, and people actually know you for the character of Jules, maybe who initially saw Die Hard 3, but Die Hard 3, while it may have been the highest grossing movie of the year, Pulp Fiction is watched over and over and over again by generations, as is Die Hard probably.
Yes,
but
it is. Because every year, a certain group of people become of age to see Pulp Fiction, and they realize it's the coolest movie that's ever been made.
True.
So I get a whole new group of fans every year. I get like 5 million new fans every year.
But how often do you hear...
Every time Die Hard with a Vengeance comes on, or if you say to people, what's the best Die Hard? They'll go, well, Die Hard and then Die Hard with a Vengeance. Yeah. But anytime Die Hard with a Vengeance is on, my Twitter feed is full of people watching that shit. Because they watch it. And anytime I'm passing it, I stop and watch it too.
How often does Die Hard with a Vengeance get quoted to you versus how often does Jules get quoted?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah. Zeus, not Jesus, Zeus, as in I'll shove a lightning bolt up your ass, motherfucker. I get that one. So that's my quote.
Can I just say...
I have gangs of T-shirt lines in movies. I'm the T-shirt line guy.
Can I just say, I want to have this conversation for the rest of the day. This is the best conversation I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
I'm also going to say, Brie, I think fortunately for you, people will quote Kong, because I don't think you want people quoting Room to you for the... Yeah, I don't think you want that as like a...
It's kind of sad.
Go-to yell across the street at you.
Yeah, bye-bye Room. I was like, oh, don't. Maybe don't.
Yeah, there'll be a T-shirt with your face on it and with... Bitch, please at the bottom.
By the way, I think I saw Die Hard with a Vengeance before I saw Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
I definitely did. I definitely saw Die Hard with a Vengeance before Pulp Fiction, but have seen Pulp Fiction now many, many, many more times.
Yeah,
I
me
think.
too.
How often do... What
First time I met Sam, he told me a story about Pulp Fiction.
was the story?
It was about the read-through. You don't have to tell the story. You probably don't have time.
Yeah.
But
about having the job and not having the job and having the job again.
Yeah, we were on the set of Avengers. Loki was in a cell. Nick Fury was outside the cell. He offered to buy me a magazine at one point.
Yeah.
And then we had a conversation about Pulp Fiction. Little known fact. There you go.
Well, there you go. Can we hear the story?
No, everybody in here knows the story. I bet you they do. Most people know that story by now. I've told it like 1 million times. Quentin told me it was my part. It was written for me, blah, 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 blah. So I went in one day because they wanted to hear it. So I read it, and I came back to New York because I was shooting Fresh. So I came back to New York, and while I'm shooting Fresh, I get the word that, well, this other actor came in, and he wanted to read Jules because the part they wanted him to read didn't have that many lines, and he read it, and they were like, oh my God, he's amazing. So it's like, we might have to change our mind. So they call me and tell me, okay, you have to come back in and read again. And this was on a Thursday, and I'm shooting here, so I had to get on a plane on a Saturday to fly to LA to audition for the part that was theoretically written for me. And so I'm on the planes furiously, putting notes in the margin, doing this, getting that, memorizing the stuff. So I get there, and when I get there, nobody's there because they've all gone to lunch because the guy came in and supposedly knocked it out of the park. And then they come back, and they all say, well, we're ready. And this one producer that I'd never met before, they were introducing him, and he said, oh, you don't have to introduce me. I love your work, Mr. Fishburne. I was like, so by the time I get in the room, I'm fucking furious. So I go in there and I'm like killing it so hard the guy that's the reader gets lost. So I stop and go, look, motherfucker, this is not your job. It's mine. So keep the fuck up. Go through all the scenes, boom, boom, drop the mic, leave, come back, and Lawrence Bender, who was also a producer of the movie that I'm doing, comes back and goes, well, man, you know it was always your job. You know, we were going to do it. But we'd never seen how the movie was supposed to end until we saw you do the reading of the diner scene in the movie. And that's the story. So moral of the story is, don't ever think because somebody tells you it's your job. You still got to do the same shit you always did when you go to the audition to get that job, to nail that job down, to make sure they know they didn't make a fucking mistake when they called you in the first place.
This is a great story that I
never heard that story.
I was really, because I was on, I was 30 years old when we were shooting Avengers, and I loved hearing that story because you just never take it for granted. It's great.
And I love the idea of you being as pissed off as you could possibly be and doing that last monologue of the movie, screaming furious anger at the poor guy that's trying to keep up with you.
Well, I wasn't screaming at, I screamed at him at one moment when he fucked up. That was in the beginning. When it was me and John in the car, he fucked up the whole, going to Denmark, whatever thing. And I told him, get your shit together.
Brie, these two guys, as he said, on the Avengers, they're used to sort of doing big special effects movies. This is your kind of your first, really. What was it like sort of working with the tennis ball and working with a lot of the CGI?
Oh, it was interesting. Very interesting. It wasn't a tennis ball. It was actually a tape X.
Sometimes.
Was there ever a tennis ball? I don't recall ever being given the courtesy of a tennis ball. I think I just got a pink X.
They had a tennis ball up on the other side of the lake.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And
super far away.
You can't even fucking see that.
Yeah. Kong was really big, a lot bigger than we all kind of realized.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's really big.
He was way bigger in the movie than I ever thought he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was amazing. It's like your imagination times 10. And it's the only job in the world where you can talk to something that's literally not there and people aren't like, well, she's a crazy person. People are like, it's amazing what you can do.
Is it difficult getting used to? Do you feel like you need a fair amount of kind of reassurance after you do your takes because you don't have someone to react to, or do you just
I'm not into that. No, I don't want to be told I'm doing a good job. Then it just tanks. I like it better when it's just like silence and I'm just with myself going, okay, let's see if I can do better than
Moving
last
on
time.
is like the best sound that you can hear?
Yeah, I don't
But you do go to the monitor a lot.
No, I don't. You're talking about him.
No, he lives at the monitor.
I never. Oh, you mean for the Kong day? No, you weren't there for that.
No, some days you
Some of the things, you're right.
You finish
some
doing the scene, you run over to the monitor and look, and the opposite. You want to look at the monitor?
That's like 20% true. It's a 20% true story. Certain things like when you're dealing with something that's not there, I did have to look at the monitor, and also I had never run on camera before, and I realized I looked very bad. It was like I was all over the place, and so I really had to focus on that. So please think of me when you watch the film and you see those straight arms.
Your hero run, yeah.
Doesn't short-term 12 end with you running in slow motion?
Yeah, and I'm embarrassed about it to this day. That's how I learned that I'm not good at running on camera.
Let's turn it over to the audience for questions. Who has a question out there? Someone with a mic right here.
Hello, Brie. Since your character in the film is a photographer, I was wondering if you did your own photography off set when you weren't shooting.
I did. It was so much fun. I had taken a photography class when I was in high school, so I was familiar with taking photos and developing my own photos. And so I feel like with every movie or every character you play, it kind of like reminds you of a piece of yourself you've forgotten. And so that was a skill that I hadn't really played with yet for many years. So I started taking photos on set, kind of just because we're in beautiful locations with beautiful people that are really interesting to take photos of, and also because it would bring me closer to her and how she would be and how she's viewing the world. And then I started taking all these rolls of film, and we're in Hawaii, and I was like on my way to CVS and was like, nope, I can't develop these here. Can you imagine that person at CVS that's like, what's going on here? It's like, looks like the Vietnam War, but it's like two guys from Straight Outta Compton's in here and like Sam Jackson. And it wouldn't have been a good idea. I would have gotten in trouble. So I passed it all over to Legendary, and I hadn't seen any of the photos until last week, I guess. They did like a gallery showing of my photos. It was really cool. Yeah.
Next question. Who's right there?
Yes. Hi, so thank you for being here. And I just want to ask, you guys have such great chemistry. So do you look forward to working together in the MCU? And do you dislike it that it's always being associated with that? Like every single meme with Kong Skull Island always says, oh, it's Loki and Captain Marvel and, you know, the three of you. So,
You know, there are actors who go through their whole career and nobody remembers one thing they've done. So I don't particularly mind it, and it's fine. You know, we're iconic figures in movies that mean something to people, or people have this connection to them in a real kind of way, which is great. So, no, I don't care about that. But yeah, Brie and I have already worked together since Skull Island. She got to direct me in her movie. So she's done her own movie, which is really cool.
What's your film?
It's called Unicorn Store, and it's about a unicorn store.
Unicorn
Very true.
store? Oh, store. Okay, I think you said storm. I was like,
No,
that'd be
unicorn.
wild.
Gosh, no.
Store. Yeah. Store.
When can we expect to see that?
I don't know. I'm just at like week 9 of editing, so it's still early.
Well, congratulations on taking that on. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
thank you. Thank you.
How do you feel when it says, you know, there's a meme that goes out that says Kong Skull Island has you and it says starring Loki?
It's hilarious. I don't wear a long black wig in this one, which I wish was preferable for my body temperature. But yeah, it's, you know, it's the Marvel thing is being part of that whole world is so much fun, and it's expanded way beyond anything I ever imagined. So it's good fun.
Yeah, when you signed on for the first Avengers, right, or for the first Thor
first
film,
Thor, yeah.
right? You probably didn't expect it to continue to grow the way that it was, or had they pitched it to you as like,
Well, no,
if this works, you'll
no.
see. There's like 10 more movies.
Yeah, no, they basically had made one movie before that, which was Iron Man. There was no Iron Man 2. There was no Captain America. The Avengers was a pipe dream, I think. Well, probably wasn't, but I hadn't heard about it. So I was auditioning for this one film, and then I got cast as Loki. And Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, called me into his office and said, "So listen, well done. I want to talk to you about this movie called Avengers." I was like, wait a second, what? And that was when he told me that Loki was going to be the villain in Avengers as well. And yeah, so it's become this crazy ride that we're all on together. They didn't tell you?
No, they just said, look, we're going to do these Marvel movies. We're going to sign you to do 9 movies. I was like, how long do I have to stay alive to do 9 movies? That was my thought. Because I thought it was going to take forever to make 9 movies. Like,
Yeah.
they made those 9 movies so fast, it was scary.
Yeah.
I need a new contract.
Next question.
So, Brie, I had a question for
Oh,
you.
go ahead.
Do you know who that guy is right there?
No, who is that guy?
Okay. That is Radio Man.
Oh, Radio Man's out there.
That's really Radio Man?
That's
Radio Man.
the Radio Man.
Thank you for pointing that
If you
out.
ever work in New York and you want to know what time you have to be at work tomorrow or where your location is, he can tell you.
Sam, do you
How
want
he knows
Radio
that,
Man.
I don't know. He's been doing that to me since I got to New York.
I'm
He agreed to
honored.
to tell the audience who Radio Man is?
Oh, Radio Man is essentially just, well, he's sort of a movie fixture, but everybody who's ever done a movie in New York knows him. He comes to set, they feed him, you know, he has pictures he asks you to sign so he can sell them.
Sometimes he gets cameos
yeah,
in movies.
and every now and then he'll be stuck in the movie, they'll put him in, or he's been in a couple of videos. Usually during Academy Award season, he's in L.A. I've seen him.
Well, that's because like Robin Williams brought him to the Oscars for the Fisher King premiere.
Yeah, he's actually, yeah.
Oh, wow.
But that's Radio Man.
I think the Fisher King character was like loosely
Was
based
modeled
off,
after Radio Man.
Radio Man.
But yeah, he is the New York movie fixture. That's him.
He's got a phone number that you can call to. It's like, hello, this is Radio Man movie time. It's really great. Sorry, everybody, for that.
Wow.
Sorry. All right, who's got the mic? I just wanted her to know that that's him.
love that.
That's him.
Next question.
Hi. First of all, big fans. I'm only one person, so big fan.
I'm down with that. I thought you had a mouse in your pocket. And I was like, hey, okay.
A question for all of you. Which one is your favorite movie that you've ever acted in?
Oh, no.
Kong Skull Island, go.
Yes, go see.
Sam, do you know yours?
Long Kiss Goodnight. with Gina Davis.
Why is that?
Because it's an awesome kick-ass action movie with this awesome heroine, Charlie Baltimore, that's amazing. And I love playing Mitch Hennessy, and I had so much fun with Gina. She and I were in that car a lot and hanging out, and it was like minus 37 degrees at its warmest point when we shot that movie. And we took care of each other, and it was a blast. Yeah.
I think mine might be Scott Pilgrim. Yeah. It was just, I felt it was just a pinch me thing being there on the set of that movie. And I remember getting the sides for it, and it was just like one page, and the books hadn't come out yet, and I didn't even know what it was. And the only description I had was a husky, non-Ramona voice. And I came up with this character the night before and was like, I'm going to do this in this audition, and they're going to laugh, and I'm not sure if it's going to be for good reasons or not, but I'm going to do it. And I just had never worked with other people my age, and it was just so much fun being on that film and to play a character like that. It was just such a, I don't know, such a performance.
I think my favorite is the first Thor, directed by Kenneth Branagh. The whole thing was just so much fun from start to finish. I've met people I've been working with for about 10 years, Chris Hemsworth and Sir Anthony Hopkins, and I'd worked with Kenneth Branagh in the theater, and suddenly he was directing me, and my first time in Los Angeles, and the whole thing was just a blast from start to finish, yeah.
I think I have time for one more question before we let these guys go.
Hey guys, it's a huge honor to talk to you guys. So, you guys have been in so many great movies. Some of my favorites have been Unbreakable, Kingsman. You had my family like wrapped around your finger when we saw Room. It was incredible to watch. And of course, I'm a 15-year-old guy, so Loki was my favorite for me. And as a guy who wants to study screenwriting in the future, I was curious as to what you guys look for in a script when you're picking your next project, and how Kong kind of reflected that.
Good question.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. No pressure. No, I'm not. So for me, it's always about the metaphor and the subtext of it. And I've always made film as this form of activism and as a way to tell stories that I could stand on a street corner.
I'm fascinated.
I just like to have fun. I don't really care. Okay. It's my form of activism. It's a way that no matter how many people you go to the movies with, you're ultimately just sitting there alone. And what that subtext is and the questions that it brings up for you, I think, can change things. So I think you got to also just tell your story with your unique point of view, because we really need more voices. We need more unique, different voices that are speaking from their truth.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty much the thing. Tell your story. Tell a story that's interesting, that's, make sure it's interesting to you. Make sure you want to see that story on screen. Make sure that I'm not reading that story and I know what's going to happen on page 15, on page 30. It can't be genre. And the characters inside of it have to be characters that people will care about when they sit there and watch them on screen. That people can relate to in a very real kind of way, and the things that they do make sense.
And you guys have, for my money, one of the best screenwriters there is on this film. You have Dan Gilroy, who's really just an incredible writer.
Really fine, yeah.
Guys, Kong Skull Island comes out this Friday, March 10th. Congratulations on the film. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Kong Skull Island, March 10th, everybody.